Hi, this is the OG art teacher, and this time I'm going to teach you how to do 2-point perspective. You'll need a straight edge, and this time I'm just going to use the edge of a folder, because I want you to understand that you can use anything that's basically able to keep its form as a straight edge. You don't have to use a ruler. In fact, unless you're doing measuring, I would suggest not using a ruler for anything, because it will make your work look more mechanical than it should. So it'll make your work look mechanical versus like the rest of your work will look stylistic and more organic. So for 2-point perspective, go ahead and draw a horizontal line across the paper. That's going to be your horizon line. I like to label this so that we don't forget what that line is. It's also a horizontal line. It's also a thin line. And we're going to create 2 vanishing points this time. So I'm going to put one over here and one over here. This is a little more difficult to figure out, but it can be fun to play with. My suggestion would be to start with a straight line that is parallel to the sides of the paper to the best of your ability. Make it kind of short. We're going to make a little shape and not a big giant shape. Once you have a straight vertical line, then both the bottom and the top are going to get diagonal lines going to both of those vanishing points. So I move the paper around to make it easy to use the pencil. So we're going to call this A and B. So A is going to go to the first vanishing point, and it's also going to go to the second vanishing point. Then with line B, or dot, the end of line, the line AB, we're going to go to the vanishing point. And again, with the second vanishing point, we're going to line that up with the end of line AB. And so now we have a corner, or a Star Trek symbol. In order to make this into a form, we're going to draw lines that are parallel to line AB and the sides of the paper that connect our diagonal lines. So I slide my paper here, and then we have line C and D. Now line D and C are going to want to go to the second vanishing point, because technically this point right here, which is D, already goes to vanishing point number 1. So at point D, we're matching up the pencil and then trying to get it to match up with the vanishing point over on the right side of the paper. And we're going to draw a light diagonal line. Then we're going to slide our straight edge from AB to create another vertical parallel line, and we'll call this E and F. So since C would cross over the form, we're not going to worry about drawing a line from C or F, because both of those would cross over. Now line AE already goes to the second vanishing point, so we're going to use the point E to go to vanishing point number 1. So lining up your straight edge with point E and the first vanishing point, draw a light line that connects those. So now we have a cube or rectangular prism with a bunch of extra diagonal lines, which I am now going to erase. There are lots of different types of erasers. Some of them work better than others. I have found that the pink ones don't really seem to work as well as black or white erasers, but there's also brands that work better than others. It may be frustrating to do this with an eraser that doesn't work well. So if you have an eraser that doesn't work well, please know that it's not your fault that your paper looks like has a ton of ghost lines on it. It doesn't matter. You're just doing practice. So I usually go in and reinforce my lines because I try to draw really lightly when I'm doing these exercises so that I can erase if I make a mistake. But my lines are not as perfect as they are when I use a straight edge, so my stuff starts to look a little more organic. I'm going to do the same thing above the horizon line. So we're just going to draw a straight line, not bothering to use the straight edge to draw that vertical line. We'll call this line again AB. So from point A, we're going to vanishing point number 2. From point A, we're going to vanishing point number 1. From point B, we're going to vanishing point number 1. And from point B, we're going to vanishing point number 2. Mine's a little off, but that's the basic start. Now I'm going to use line AB to draw a parallel line, and that's going to be lines C and D, and both of those are just a continuation of line B to 1 and line A to 1. So we're going to use their points to go to vanishing point number 2. Since the point C will create a diagonal line that's going across the form, we're not going to bother drawing a diagonal to the second vanishing point. We'll use point D since the diagonal will be going through open air. And then we will create our next parallel line with A and B by sliding down the diagonals that go with A and B to create E and F. So line E and F, line AE already goes to the second vanishing point. Line BF already goes to the second vanishing point. If I line up with E and go to the first vanishing point, I'm going to be crossing over the form. So with line F, we're going to finish off the form by going to the first vanishing point. So now we have a rectangular prism or a cube that's hanging out in the sky, and we can erase any extra lines that were our guidelines. So I'm going to stop there because it's already been about 10 minutes and it's kind of a lot to handle. But with shading, you would use a light source to figure out where the light's coming from, and you would shade the opposite side. If the light is above the object, the bottom part would be shaded, and it might leave like a little something down there where the light gets blocked. And that's pretty much how you do 2-point perspective in the simplest way. All shapes can be done with 2-point perspective, but I'm trying to keep it simple. So here you go, and thank you for your time.